The rain hit Chicago's south side like bullets, cold, relentless, unforgiving. Maya Rodriguez clutched her daughter tighter as she stumbled through the alley, her waitress uniform soaked through, her sneakers splashing through puddles that reflected neon signs from the street beyond. 3-year-old Sofia was burning up. Maya could feel the fever radiating through the thin blanket she'd wrapped around her daughter's small body. The emergency room was 6 blocks away, but it might as well have been 6 miles. Maya's ancient Honda had died 2 streets back, steam pouring from under the hood like a death rattle. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment, telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. Mama, Sofia whimpered, her voice weak. Hurts. I know, baby. I know. Maya's voice cracked as she pushed forward. The fever had spiked an hour ago, 104. 5 degrees, and Sofia's lips had started, turning blue at the edges. Febrile seizure territory. Every second counted. The alley opened onto a side street lined with warehouses. Most were dark, abandoned, but one, a massive brick building with blacked-out windows, glowed with light seeping around the edges of a loading dock door. Maya ran toward it, her lungs burning. She could hear voices inside, men's voices, deep, authoritative, dangerous. She didn't care. Her fist pounded on the metal door with a hollow, echoing boom that seemed to shake the night itself. "Please," she screamed. "Please, someone help. My baby, she needs help." Silence fell inside. Maya pounded again, harder. Sofia's head lolled against her shoulder. "Please, she's dying, please." The door opened a crack. A man's face appeared, late 20s, buzz cut, scar across his jaw. His eyes were flat and assessing, the kind of eyes that had seen things and done things that normal people only whispered about. "You got the wrong place, lady," he said. "Keep moving." "No." Maya shoved her foot in the door before he could close it. "My daughter, she has a fever. She needs a hospital. My car died. Please, just let me use a phone. Please, I'm begging you." "Lady, you don't understand." "I understand, my baby is burning up." Maya's voice broke into a sob. "I understand every second I waste. She gets worse. I don't care who you are or what you do in there. I just need help. Please, please save my baby." The man's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. He turned his head. "Boss, we got a situation." Footsteps approached, heavy, measured, the kind of footsteps that made people move out of the way. Then the door opened wider. The man who appeared was tall, easily 6'3", with broad shoulders that filled his expensive black suit like it had been tailored to weaponize his presence. Dark hair swept back from a face that was all hard angles and harder eyes. Maybe 35, maybe ageless. The kind of face that could have been carved from granite if granite could hold that much controlled violence. Dominic Valentino. Maya didn't know his name, but she knew what he was instantly. Power rolled off him like heat off asphalt in summer. Danger clung to him like a second skin. Behind him, the warehouse interior revealed itself in fragments. Men in suits standing at attention. Long tables covered with items Maya's brain refused to process. The unmistakable architecture of a world she'd spent her whole life avoiding. But none of that mattered. "Please," Maya said, her voice raw. "Please save my baby." Dominic's dark eyes dropped to the bundle in Maya's arms. For 1 heartbeat, 2, he simply stared. Then his entire body went rigid. The air changed. Every man in that warehouse felt it, the sudden electric tension that made them straighten. Hands drifting toward hidden weapons, eyes scanning for threats. Because Dominic Valentino had frozen, his face, that mask of controlled power, cracked. Just for a second. But Maya saw it. Shock. Recognition. Something that looked like he'd been punched in the chest. "Boss?" The scarred man's voice held a question and a warning. Dominic didn't answer. He was staring at Sofia's face, what little was visible beneath the fever flush and the damp curls plastered to her forehead. Sofia's eyes fluttered open. Dark brown eyes, almost black. Long lashes. A small birthmark just below her left ear, shaped like a crescent moon. "Impossible," Dominic breathed. Then he moved. 1 second he was in the doorway. The next he was lifting Sofia from Maya's arms with a gentleness that contradicted everything about him. His large hands cradled the tiny girl like she was made of glass. "How high is the fever?" His voice was sharp, commanding, cutting through Maya's shock. 104. 5. 20 minutes ago. I tried to get to Cook County Memorial, but my car, Marcus. Dominic didn't raise his voice, but the scarred man snapped to attention. "Call Dr. Reeves. Tell him it's an emergency. Tell him I need him at the estate in 15 minutes, or his daughter's scholarship suddenly becomes unavailable. Then get my car." "Boss, we're in the middle of..." Now, Marcus disappeared. Dominic turned back to Maya, and she saw something in his eyes she hadn't expected. Fear. Not for himself. For Sofia. "What's her name?" he asked. "Sofia. Sofia Rodriguez." Maya's voice shook. "What are you? Why did you? How old is she?" 3. "She just turned 3 last month. Why does that? Come with me." Dominic was already moving, carrying Sofia toward a black SUV that had appeared at the loading dock as if by magic. "You want to save your daughter, you come now." Maya's instincts screamed warnings. This man was dangerous. This situation was dangerous. She should run, should flag down a cop, should do anything except get in a car with a man who was clearly neck-deep in the kind of life that ended with bodies in rivers. But Sofia whimpered, and Dominic's hands gentled even more, and Maya saw him whisper something to her daughter, something soft and urgent that Maya couldn't hear. And Sofia, her baby girl who cried when strangers tried to hold her, who'd never trusted easily, relaxed against this dangerous stranger's chest. Maya got in the car. The Valentino estate sat behind iron gates in Oak Park 30 minutes from the South Side warehouses, a world away in every other sense. The house was a 3-story mansion that spoke of old money and older power, with manicured lawns and security cameras that tracked their approach like predators' eyes. Sofia had slipped into unconsciousness 5 minutes into the drive. Maya had climbed into the back seat beside Dominic, her hand on her daughter's forehead, feeling the heat that seemed to be climbing even higher. "She's getting worse," Maya said, trying to keep the panic from her voice. "We're almost there." Dominic's jaw was tight, his focus absolute. He'd removed his suit jacket and wrapped it around Sofia Italian wool that probably cost more than Maya made in 6 months. "Who are you?" Maya asked. "Why did you help us? Does it matter?" "Yes, it matters." Maya met his eyes in the dim interior of the SUV. "Because men like you don't help people like me without a reason." Something that might have been respect flickered in Dominic's expression. "Smart. You're smart to question." He adjusted Sofia's position, making sure her airway was clear. "But right now, the only thing that matters is keeping your daughter alive." The SUV pulled into the circular driveway. A man in his 60s was already waiting, silver hair, medical bag, the calm competence of someone who'd seen everything twice. "Dr. Reeves," Dominic said, stepping out with Sofia still in his arms. "Fever. 104. 5 and rising. 3 years old. How fast can you work? Bring her inside. Now." Dr. Reeves was already moving toward the house. Maya followed them through doors that opened, automatically, into a foyer that could have fit her entire apartment 3 times over. Marble floors, crystal chandelier, oil paintings that probably belonged in museums, but she barely noticed. They moved to what looked like a library, rich wood paneling, floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, a desk the size of a small car. Dr. Reeves was already clearing the leather couch, laying out supplies. "Set her down here," he instructed. "Mother, I need you to tell me everything. When did the fever start? Any other symptoms? Allergies? Medical history?" Maya rattled off the information on autopilot. The fever that had spiked after daycare. The cough that preceded it. Sofia's mild asthma. No drug allergies. All vaccinations current. Doctor. Reeves worked with quick efficiency. Thermometer. 105. 1. Stethoscope. Blood pressure cuff that looked comically large on Sofia's tiny arm. "Her breathing's compromised, doctor," Reeves said. "Lungs sound congested. I'm seeing signs of pneumonia. We need to get this. Fever down immediately, then start antibiotics." He pulled out supplies, alcohol swabs, syringes, vials of medication. "This is acetaminophen. IV push for faster action. Then we'll start fluids and antibiotics." Maya watched the needle slide into Sofia's small arm and wanted to scream, but she held her daughter's other hand, whispering reassurances that neither of them believed. "She's going to be okay," Dominic said from behind her. Maya turned. He'd removed his tie, rolled up his sleeves, standing in his own library, watching a doctor work on a stranger's child. His expression was unreadable, but his hands were clenched at his sides. "How do you know?" Maya asked. "Because I'm not letting her die." The certainty in his voice should have sounded arrogant. Instead, it sounded like a vow. "Doctor, Reeves worked for 20 minutes that felt like 20 hours. If you're hooked on this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one. The fever began to drop 105, 1 to 104, 3 to 103, 7. Sofia's breathing eased. Color returned to her lips. She'll need to stay on. The IV for at least 4 hours, Dr. Reeves said, standing and wiping his hands. Probably longer. The pneumonia is early stage, but serious. She needs monitoring, medications every 4 hours, and rest. She can stay here, Dominic said immediately. Here? Maya looked around the library that was bigger than her apartment. We can't just... You don't have a choice. Dominic's voice was matter of fact. Your daughter needs care. I have the resources. You stay until she's stable. I don't even know you. No, but I'm the only reason your daughter is alive right now. He moved closer, and Maya caught his scent expensive cologne and something darker, more dangerous. You can leave. Walk out that door right now. Take her to a hospital where they'll admit her. Ask for insurance you probably don't have. Process paperwork while she waits. Or you can stay here where she has immediate care, medicine, and a doctor who's one of the best in the city. Maya's throat tightened. Why are you doing this? Dominic's eyes dropped to Sofia's sleeping face again. That same frozen expression crossed his features, the look of a man seeing a ghost. Because, he said quietly, she has my daughter's eyes. The words landed like a bomb. Maya's world tilted. What? Isabella. Dominic's voice went rough. My daughter. She died 4 years ago. Car accident. She was 6. He reached out, stopping just short of touching Sofia's hair. She had eyes exactly like that. That birthmark Isabella had one in the exact same place. I'm sorry, Maya whispered, because what else could she say? Don't be. Dominic's mask slammed back into place. It's old pain, but when I saw your daughter, he stopped, jaw working. I couldn't walk away. Dr. Reeves cleared his throat. I'll stay for the next few hours, monitor her progress. Mr. Valentino, perhaps you should show Miss Rodriguez where she can rest? I'm not leaving my daughter, Maya said immediately. There's a bedroom attached to this library, Dominic said. You can stay within sight of her, but you need to eat something. Change into dry clothes. You're no good to her if you collapse. Maya wanted to argue, but her legs were shaking, her uniform was soaked through, and she hadn't eaten since breakfast 12 hours ago. Okay, she said, but I'm staying in this room. I wouldn't expect anything else. Dominic moved to the door, paused. For what it's worth, you're a good mother. Running through the rain, begging strangers, doing whatever it took to save her. Isabella's mother, my wife, she was like that too. Was? She died in the same accident that killed Isabella. His face was stone. 4 years ago, October 15th. Maya's chest tightened with unexpected sympathy. This dangerous man, this criminal who'd opened his door to a desperate stranger, he'd lost everything. I'm sorry, she said again. Dominic looked at Sofia one more time. Get some rest, Miss Rodriguez. Tomorrow, we'll figure out what comes next. He left, closing the door behind him with a soft click that sounded like a promise and a threat all at once. Maya sank into the chair beside the couch where Sofia slept, watching her daughter's chest rise and fall, listening to the steady beep of the heart monitor Dr. Reeves had attached. They'd been saved by a stranger, a dangerous stranger who'd frozen at the sight of Sofia's face. A stranger who saw his dead daughter when he looked at Maya's living one. Outside, thunder rolled. The storm hadn't passed, it was just beginning, and Maya had the sinking feeling that she'd just traded one kind of danger for another. But Sofia was breathing. That was all that mattered. For now. Maya woke to sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows and the disorienting realization that she wasn't in her cramped studio apartment. The bedroom attached to Dominic's library was larger than her entire living space. King-sized bed with sheets that felt like silk, furniture that probably cost more than her car had when it was new, and a bathroom visible through an open door that looked like something from a luxury hotel. She sat up too fast, panic flooding through her. Sofia. Maya scrambled out of bed, still wearing the borrowed clothes someone had left for her last night. Expensive loungewear that fit perfectly despite her never giving measurements, and rushed into the library. Dr. Reeves looked up from where he sat reading a medical journal, a cup of coffee steaming beside him. Sofia slept peacefully on the couch, the IV still attached, but her color was better. Normal. Healthy. Her fever broke around 3 a.m., Dr. Reeves said quietly. Down to 99. 8 now. The antibiotics are working. She's going to be fine. Maya's knees went weak with relief. She crossed to the couch and knelt beside it, pressing her hand to Sofia's forehead. Cool. Her baby was cool. Thank you, Maya whispered, her voice breaking. Thank you so much. Don't thank me. Dr. Reeves closed his journal, his expression thoughtful. Thank Mr. Valentino. In 30 years of practicing medicine, I've never seen him react like he did last night. He called me before your daughter even arrived, told me if I didn't save her, He stopped, seemed to reconsider. Well, let's just say his motivation was clear. Maya studied the older man's face. You've worked for him a long time? Define worked for. Dr. Reeves smiled slightly. I'm the Valentino family physician. Have been since Dominic was a boy. I delivered his daughter. I was there when his smile faded. When they brought Isabella to the hospital, nothing I could do. The injuries were too severe. I'm sorry. We all are. Doctor. Reeves stood, gathering his supplies. But Miss Rodriguez, I need to ask you something, and I need you to answer honestly. The shift in his tone made Maya's stomach clench. Okay. Sofia's father. Where is he? Maya's jaw tightened. Gone. He left when I was pregnant. I haven't heard from him in 3 years. His name? Why does that matter? Dr. Reeves moved closer, his voice dropping. Because your daughter looks remarkably like Isabella Valentino. Not similar. Identical. Same eyes, same facial structure, same birthmark in the same location. He paused. That's not coincidence, Miss Rodriguez. That's genetics. The implication hit Maya like a physical blow. No. That's impossible. Sofia's father his name was Ryan Mitchell. He was a bartender. We dated for 6 months. He didn't want kids, so he left. There's no connection to, are you certain? Maya opened her mouth, then closed it. Was she certain? Ryan had been charming, mysterious about his past, always paid in cash. He'd told her he was from California, but his accent had traces of Chicago in it. He'd known the city too well for a transplant, and he'd disappeared 3 weeks after she told him she was pregnant. Vanished like smoke. No social media, no. Forwarding address. No trace. I don't know, Maya admitted, the words tasting like ashes. I don't know anything anymore. A knock on the door interrupted them. A woman entered early 50s, elegant in a simple black dress, carrying a silver tray. Good morning, Miss Rodriguez. Mr. Valentino asked me to bring breakfast. I'm Elena, the house manager. She set the tray on a side table coffee, fresh fruit, pastries that smelled like heaven. Mr. Valentino is in his study. He'd like to speak with you when you're ready. I'm not leaving, Sofia. He anticipated that. Elena's smile was knowing. He'll come here instead. Perhaps in an hour? That will give you time to eat, shower if you'd like. There are fresh clothes in the closet. She gestured to the bedroom. Your size. Mr. Valentino has excellent staff. Maya wanted to ask how Dominic had known her size. Instead, she just nodded. After Elena left, Dr. Reeves packed his bag. I'll be back this afternoon to check on her. Progress. Keep the IV going for another few hours, then we can switch to oral antibiotics. He paused at the door. Miss Rodriguez? Whatever connection exists between your daughter and the Valentino family, be careful. Dominic is a good man in his own way, but he's also a dangerous one. He's lost too much. People who've lost too much sometimes hold too tight to what remains. Then he was gone, and Maya was alone with her sleeping daughter and questions that multiplied like shadows. The shower in the attached bathroom had 6 different settings and water pressure that felt like a massage. Maya stood under the spray longer than she should have, trying to process the last 12 hours. She'd begged a stranger for help. That stranger was clearly involved in organized crime. The warehouse, the armed men, the way people jumped when he spoke. That stranger looked at Sofia like she was a ghost come back to life. And according to Dr. Reeves, Sofia might actually be connected to the Valentino family, genetically connected, which meant Ryan Mitchell, if that was even his real name, had lied about everything. Maya dried off and found the clothes Elena had mentioned. Designer labels, perfect fit. A soft cashmere sweater in deep green, dark jeans that hugged like they'd been tailored. She felt like she was playing dress-up in someone else's life. When she emerged, Sofia was awake. Mama? Her voice was small but clear. The fever flush was gone from her cheeks. Baby. Maya rushed over, gathering Sofia carefully around the IV line. How do you feel? Tired. Where are we? We're at a friend's house. You were very sick, sweetheart. You still are a little bit, but you're getting better. Sofia looked around the library with wide eyes. It's pretty. Like a castle. It is like a castle, isn't it? The man said I was pretty. Maya's heart stopped. What man? The man from last night. With the dark eyes. He carried me. Sofia touched the spot on her arm where the IV was inserted. He said I looked like an angel. He said angels shouldn't hurt. Tears burned Maya's eyes. What else did he say? That he'd keep me safe. That nobody would hurt me ever. Sofia yawned. I liked him, Mama. He seemed sad. Before Maya could respond, the library door opened. Dominic entered, and in daylight he was even more imposing. He'd changed into a fresh suit, charcoal gray, probably Italian, definitely expensive. His dark hair was still damp, suggesting a recent shower. But his eyes, those dark, intense eyes, went straight to Sofia. You're awake, he said, his voice gentler than Maya had heard it. Sofia smiled. Hi yourself. Dominic moved closer, then seemed to catch himself, stopping a respectful distance from the couch. How are you feeling? Better. Mama says I was very sick. You were, but you're strong. I could tell. How? Because you trusted me. It takes strength to trust. His eyes flicked to Maya, and she saw the question there. Do you trust me? She didn't answer. Dominic turned his attention back to Sofia. I have a gift for you. Would you like to see it? Okay. He pulled a small stuffed animal from behind his back. A white rabbit with impossibly soft fur and a pink ribbon around its neck. My daughter loved rabbits. I thought you might like one too. Sofia's eyes lit up. She's beautiful. What's her name? That's for you to decide. Luna. Sofia hugged the rabbit carefully, mindful of the IV. Because she's white like the moon. Something cracked in Dominic's expression. That's perfect. Isabella would have loved that name. The moment stretched between them, this dangerous man and this tiny girl who looked like his dead daughter. Maya watched the way Dominic's hands clenched at his sides, like he was physically restraining himself from reaching out. Sofia, Maya said gently, why don't you rest a little more? Luna can keep you company. Okay, Mama, Sofia curled up with the rabbit, already drifting back to sleep. Dominic waited until her breathing deepened, then gestured to the far side of the library. Maya followed, keeping Sofia in sight but giving them space to talk. She looks better, Dominic said. Thanks to you. Maya crossed her arms. But we need to talk about what happens next. When Sofia's well enough, we'll leave. We'll figure out. You can't leave. The words were flat, absolute. Maya's spine stiffened. Excuse me? It's not safe. Not safe from what? Dominic was quiet for a long moment, his jaw working like he was choosing his words carefully. Finally, last night after you arrived, I made some calls, asked questions, had people look into Ryan Mitchell. Maya's stomach dropped. And Ryan Mitchell doesn't exist. No social security number, no employment records, no birth certificate. The name is an alias. Dominic's eyes were hard. But I did find some interesting connections. A bartender matching his description. Worked at 3 different establishments in Chicago 4 years ago. All 3 were fronts for the Rossetti family. The who? A rival organization. They've been at war with my family for 2 decades. Dominic moved to the window, staring out at the manicured grounds. If Ryan Mitchell worked for them, and he got you pregnant, that was just a coincidence, Maya said, but her voice lacked conviction. We met at a bar, started talking. It was random. Nothing is random in my world, Miss Rodriguez. Dominic turned back to her. And here's what concerns me 3 months ago. The Rossettis started asking questions about any children connected to the Valentino bloodline. Children between the ages of 2 and 4. Children who might have been born around the same time Isabella died. The room seemed to tilt. Why? Because my family has considerable assets. Properties, businesses, accounts worth millions. And according to my father's will, those assets passed to the oldest, living Valentino heir. Dominic's voice went cold. Isabella was that heir. When she died, I became the primary beneficiary. But if another child existed, Sofia isn't a Valentino, Maya interrupted. Her father was some bartender who lied about his name. That doesn't make her. Doctor. Reeves took a blood sample this morning while you were sleeping. Maya's breath caught. You had no right. I had every right. A child shows up looking identical to my daughter, with a birthmark in the exact same location, conceived around the time my wife was pregnant with what would have been our second child. Dominic's control was fraying. I needed to know. And the results will take 48 hours. But Miss Rodriguez, Maya, I've spent 4 years looking at Isabella's photos every day. I know her face better than my own. He moved closer. Sofia is family. I feel it in my bones. Maya backed away. Even if that's true, even if Ryan was connected to your family, somehow that doesn't give you the right to keep us here. The Rosettas are still looking. Dominic's voice dropped to something dangerous. If they find out Sofia exists, if they suspect what I suspect, they'll come for her. They'll use her as leverage against me. Or worse. I've seen what they do to children in this game, Maya. I won't let that happen to Sofia. So what, we're prisoners? You're protected. He gestured to the windows. 6 guards on the property at all times. Security system that would make Fort Knox jealous. Doctor. Reeves on call 24/7. And I promise you, his eyes locked with hers, I promise you on Isabella's grave that no harm will come to your daughter while she's under my roof. Maya wanted to argue, wanted to grab Sofia and run, but she looked at her daughter sleeping peacefully, recovering from pneumonia that could have killed her. She thought about the Rosettis, whoever they were looking for, children connected to the Valentino, family. She thought about Ryan Mitchell disappearing like smoke the moment he learned she was pregnant. How long? She asked. Until we have the test results. Until I can verify whether Sofia is my... He stopped, the word catching. Whether she's family. And until I can ensure the Rosettis aren't a threat. And if the test comes back negative? If she's not related to you? Dominic's expression was unreadable. Then you're free to go. I'll set you up with money, a new car, whatever you need. But I'll also assign protection. Because if I suspect the connection, others will too. Maya looked at him, this man who'd saved her daughter, who'd opened his home, who looked at Sofia with desperate recognition. You really think Ryan worked for your enemies? That Sofia was. What? Some kind of plant? I don't know. For the first time, Dominic sounded uncertain. But 4 years ago, my wife Maria was 8 months pregnant. We were going to have another daughter. She'd already picked out the name Sofia. The similarity to Sofia's name made Maya's skin prickle. Maria went into early labor while I was out of town on business. She called me, frantic. Said she'd been followed. That she'd seen someone watching the house. I told her I was being paranoid. His voice turned to gravel. 2 hours later, her car went off the road. The police said it was an accident, wet roads. She lost control. But I knew. I always knew. Someone killed her, Maya whispered. Someone killed her and my unborn daughter. Isabella was in the car too. She died on impact. Maria and the baby, they died in the hospital. I wasn't there. I was 200 miles away, handling business that didn't matter. He turned back to the window. The guilt has been eating me alive for 4 years. Maya's anger softened slightly. I'm sorry for your loss. Don't be sorry. Just understand why I can't let anything happen to Sofia. If she's connected to my family by blood or by design, she's already in danger. And I failed to protect my family once. I won't do it again. The conviction in his voice was absolute, terrifying, reassuring all at once. Okay, Maya said. We'll stay, but on conditions. Dominic raised an eyebrow. You're negotiating with me? I'm a mother negotiating for her daughter's safety and dignity. So yes. Maya lifted her chin. First, Sofia and I stay together. No separation. Second, we're not prisoners. We can move freely in the house and grounds. Third, you answer my questions honestly. All of them. Agreed. The easy acceptance surprised her. Just like that? Just like that. Dominic moved toward the door. Elena will show you the rest of the house. There's a library upstairs, the real one. Not this study with children's books. A garden Sofia might enjoy when she's feeling better. Your room is in the west wing, next to the suite I've had prepared for Sofia. We'll share a room. I anticipated that. The suite has 2 beds. He paused with his hand on the doorknob. Maya, I know this situation is bizarre. I know you have no reason to trust me. But I meant what I said. On Isabella's grave, I'll keep you both safe. After he left, Maya sank into a chair and tried to process everything. Blood tests, rival families, dead wives and daughters, a man frozen by the sight of her daughter's face. And somewhere in Chicago, people were looking for children connected to the Valentino bloodline. People who might already know Sofia existed. Maya looked at her daughter, sleeping peacefully with Luna, the rabbit clutched in her small arms. What had she gotten them into? And more terrifying, what if there was no getting out? The Valentino estate was a fortress disguised as a mansion. Maya discovered this over the next 24 hours as Sofia recovered, and they explored their gilded cage. The guest suite in the West Wing had 2 queen beds with linens softer than anything Maya had ever touched, a bathroom, with heated floors, and a balcony overlooking rose gardens that probably required a full-time staff. Sofia had been enchanted by everything: the chandelier that looked like it was made of diamonds, the walk-in closet bigger than their old apartment, the fact that Elena had stocked it with clothes in both their sizes. "It's like we're princesses, Mama," Sofia had whispered that first night, cuddling Luna close. Maya hadn't had the heart to tell her that princesses in towers were still prisoners. Now, on their second morning, Maya stood in the kitchen watching Elena prepare breakfast with the efficiency of someone who'd done it 1,000 times. The kitchen itself was industrial-sized stainless steel appliances, marble countertops, a pantry that could feed an army. "Mr. Valentino usually takes breakfast at 7, Elena said, whisking eggs with practiced precision. "But he asked me to prepare something special for Sofia. Pancakes shaped like rabbits, in honor of Luna." "Despite herself," Maya smiled. "That's thoughtful. He's a good man, Miss Rodriguez. I know what you must think, given the circumstances. But I've worked for the Valentino family for 30 years. I knew Dominic when he was a boy. I knew his wife, Maria. I held Isabella when she was born." Elena's voice softened. "And I've watched him die slowly every day since he lost them." "Die slowly? Grief can kill you just as surely as a bullet. Maybe slower, but just as certain." Elena poured the batter onto a griddle shaped like rabbit ears. "Mr. Valentino hasn't smiled in 4 years. Not once. Until your daughter arrived." Maya processed that. "He doesn't smile for you? For his family? His father died 2 years ago. Heart attack, though some say it was a broken heart after losing Isabella. Dominic has cousins, business associates, but no real family. No one close." Elena flipped the pancakes with expert precision. "He lives in this house alone except for staff. Works constantly. Takes meetings in that warehouse you saw because he can't bear to conduct business here, where Isabella used to play." The picture Elena painted was heartbreaking. A man isolated by grief, surrounded by luxury but utterly alone. "Why are you telling me this?" Maya asked. Elena met her eyes. "Because in 2 days, you'll get test results that might change everything. And I want you to understand whatever those results say. Dominic won't hurt you or your daughter. He's not that kind of man. But he is dangerous." "Oh yes." Elena's smile was slight. "Very dangerous. To his enemies. To people who threaten what's his. But never to children. Never to innocents." She arranged the rabbit pancakes on a plate with fresh berries. "After Isabella died, Dominic shut down 3 of his more questionable business ventures. The ones that put civilians at risk. He said he wouldn't be responsible for another child dying because of choices he made." A knock interrupted them. Marcus, the scarred man from the warehouse, stood in the doorway looking uncomfortable in the domestic setting. "Miss Rodriguez," he said with a nod. "Boss wants to see you in his office. Now." Maya's stomach clenched. "Is something wrong?" "Just come with me." Elena touched Maya's arm. "I'll watch Sofia. She's still sleeping and Dr. Reeves is with her. She'll be safe." Maya followed Marcus through halls lined with expensive art and family photos she tried not to study too closely. The office was on the 2nd floor, a massive room with mahogany furniture, floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, and windows that overlooked the front gates. Dominic stood behind his desk, his phone pressed to his ear, his expression carved from stone. When he saw Maya, he held up one finger weight and finished his conversation in clipped Italian. "Understood. Keep watching. Report anything unusual." He hung up and gestured to a leather chair. "Sit." Maya sat, her heart hammering. "What's wrong?" "The Rosettas made a move. Last night." Dominic's voice was controlled fury. "They hit one of my warehouses on the south side, burned it to the ground, left a message spray-painted on the wall: 'The past has children.'" The cryptic message made Maya's skin crawl. "What does that mean?" "It means they know something. Or they suspect something." Dominic pulled up security footage on his computer, turning the screen toward her. "This was taken 3 days ago. 2 blocks from your apartment." The footage showed a black sedan parked across from a run-down building Maya recognized with a jolt her building. A man sat in the driver's seat, watching, waiting. "Who is that?" Maya whispered. "Carlo Rossetti, younger brother to Antonio Rossetti, head of the family." Dominic zoomed in on the man's face, late 20s, handsome in a cold way. with eyes that held no warmth. He's been staking out your apartment since the day before you came to my warehouse. Maya's blood went cold. He was watching us? He was, waiting for you to come home. Dominic closed the laptop with controlled violence. If your car hadn't died, if you'd gone straight home instead of finding my warehouse, he would have been there. He would have taken Sofia, used her against me, or killed her to prevent me from having an heir. Either way, his jaw clenched. You saved her life by getting your car to die in the right place. The irony was bitter. Maya's piece of junk Honda had actually saved them. How did they find us? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Dominic stood, pacing to the window. Ryan Mitchell, or whoever he really was, disappeared 3 years ago. No trace. But someone tipped off the Rossettis recently. Someone told them to look for a child born around the time Maria was pregnant. A mole in your organization? Possibly. Or, he turned to face her. Or, Ryan Mitchell is still alive, still working for them, and he's been watching Sofia all along. The thought made Maya sick. But why? Why wait 3 years? Because they needed to be sure. Needed proof Sofia was connected to my family. Dominic's eyes were dark with calculation. And they got it when you showed up at my warehouse, begging for help. Now they know I've seen her. They know I reacted. They're putting pieces together. So what do? We wait for the blood test results. If Sofia is family, if she's my biological niece or cousin, or... He stopped, the unspoken possibility hanging between them. Then we have legal claim to protect her. I can move her into the family trust, give her security that's ironclad. And if she's not family, then we create a different kind of protection. Adoption, guardianship, whatever it takes. His voice was absolute. Either way, the Rossettis don't get to her. Maya stood, needing to move, to process. You're talking about changing her entire life. My entire life. You can't go back to your apartment, Maya. Dominic's words were blunt. You can't go back to your job. The moment you step outside this estate unprotected, you're a target. Sofia's a target. That's the reality now. Because I asked you for help. Bitterness flooded through her. Because I was desperate and stupid and you saved your daughter's life. Dominic closed the distance between them. Don't you dare regret that. Don't you dare feel guilty for doing what any mother would do. His intensity was overwhelming. Maya found herself looking up at him, this dangerous man who'd shown her more compassion in 2 days than Sofia's own father had shown in 6 months. I don't know how to do this, she admitted. I don't know how to live in this world. Guards and security and blood tests and rival families. I'm a waitress, Dominic. I work double shifts to pay rent. I buy clothes at thrift stores. She gestured at the office, the estate beyond. This isn't my life. It is now. His voice softened. And I'll teach you. I'll show you how. To navigate it. How to stay safe. You're not alone in this. Why? The question burst out of her. Why do you care so much? Even if Sofia is related to you, even if she's some distant cousin or whatever, why does it matter this much? Dominic was quiet for a long moment. Then, come with me. There's something you need to see. He led her down another hallway to a closed door. His hand hesitated on the knob, and Maya saw his fingers tremble slightly before he turned it. The room beyond was a time capsule. A child's bedroom, frozen in time. Pink walls with hand-painted butterflies. A canopy bed with princess sheets. Bookshelves filled with picture books and stuffed animals. A toy box overflowing with dolls and dress-up clothes. And everywhere, photographs of a little girl with dark hair and darker eyes, and a smile that could light up the world. Isabella. This was her room, Dominic said, his voice rough. I haven't changed anything. Can't bring myself to pack it up, or paint over it, or... He stopped, swallowing hard. Sometimes I come in here and sit on her bed and try to remember what her laugh sounded like. Try to remember the way she'd run to me when I came home from work. The way she'd make me play tea party with her stuffed animals. Maya's eyes burned with tears she refused to shed. Dominic crossed to the dresser and picked up a photograph in a silver frame. This was taken 3 weeks before she died. Her 6th birthday party. See that birthmark below her ear? That crescent moon? He handed Maya the photo. Isabella stood in a pink dress, blowing out candles on a cake, her face lit with joy. And below her left ear the same birthmark Sofia had. Identical. When I saw Sofia in your arms, Dominic continued, when I saw that face, those eyes, that birthmark for 1 second, I thought, his voice cracked, I thought maybe God was giving me a second chance. I thought maybe Isabella had come back. Dominic, I know it's impossible. I know Sofia isn't Isabella reincarnated or whatever. I'm not delusional. He set the photograph back down carefully. But she looks so much like my daughter that it physically hurts to see her. And at the same time, it's the only thing that's made me feel alive in 4 years. Maya understood then. This wasn't about bloodlines or family connections or protection from enemies. This was about a broken man clinging to the ghost of his daughter through a little girl who happened to look like her. Sofia isn't Isabella, Maya said gently. I know. She's her own person, with her own personality and quirks, and I know. Dominic turned to face her. But Maya, if the test results come back positive, if she really is family, then she's all I have left of the people I've lost. She's a living connection to Isabella, to Maria, to the family that was ripped away from me. And if the results are negative? His expression hardened. Then someone engineered her to look like Isabella for a reason. Someone created this situation deliberately, and I'll spend the rest of my life figuring out why. A soft knock interrupted them. Elena stood in the doorway, her face pale. Mr. Valentino, she said. Doctor. Reeves just called. The lab rushed the results. He's on his way over now. Dominic's entire body went rigid. Now? He said 48 hours. He said the results were unusual. He needs to discuss them in person. Elena's eyes flicked to Maya. He'll be here in 20 minutes. The room seemed to shrink. Maya's heart hammered against her ribs. 20 minutes. 20 minutes until they knew if Sofia was connected to the Valentino family. 20 minutes until everything changed. Dominic moved past her, his voice all business now. Elena, make sure Sofia's comfortable. Marcus, I want extra security on the gates. No one in or out without my direct approval. He turned to Maya. You should be there when we get the results. Of course, she's my daughter. I meant, he stopped, something vulnerable flickering in his eyes. I meant you should be there for me, because whatever those results say, they're going to change my life as much as yours. Before Maya could respond, her phone, the one Dominic had given her, buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I know where you are. I know what he's doing. Sofia isn't safe with Dominic Valentino. Meet me at the coffee shop on Madison Street tomorrow at noon. Come alone. R. Maya's blood froze. R. Ryan. Sofia's father, if that's who he really was, knew where they were, knew about Dominic, and was warning her that Sofia was in danger. She looked up to find Dominic watching her, his expression sharp. What is it? He asked. Maya should show him the text. Should tell him Ryan had made contact. Should be honest about this new development. Instead, she slipped the phone into her pocket. Nothing, she lied. Just a spam message. But as they headed downstairs to wait for Dr. Reeves, and the results that would change everything, Maya couldn't stop thinking about Ryan's warning. Sofia isn't safe with Dominic Valentino. What if the man who'd saved them was actually the real threat? What if she'd brought her daughter straight into the arms of danger? And what if the blood test results were about to make escape impossible? Dr. Reeves arrived 17 minutes later, his medical bag in one hand and a manila envelope in the other. His expression was grave as Elena led him into Dominic's office, where Maya and Dominic waited. Sofia was upstairs with Elena's assistant, watching cartoons and eating rabbit-shaped pancakes, blissfully unaware that her entire future was about to be decided. Thank you for coming so quickly, Dominic said, his voice tight with control. Dr. Reeves set the envelope on the desk but didn't open it. Before I share these results, I need both of you to understand something. What I'm about to tell you, it's complicated. It's going to raise more questions than it answers. Maya's stomach dropped. What does that mean? It means Dr. Reeves pulled reading glasses from his pocket, hands steady despite the weight of what he was about to reveal. It means the test results show that Sofia Rodriguez is genetically connected to the Valentino family. The room went silent. Dominic's face drained of color. She's family. Yes, but not in the way you might think. Dr. Reeves opened the envelope, pulling out lab reports covered in numbers and graphs Maya couldn't decipher. Sofia shares approximately 25% of her DNA with you, Mr. Valentino. That's consistent with her being your niece. My niece? Dominic's voice was barely a whisper. But I don't have any siblings. My father was an only child. My mother died when I was young, no siblings. There's no way, not through your direct bloodline. Dr. Reeves interrupted. Through Maria's. The name hung in the air like a grenade. That's impossible, Dominic said flatly. Maria didn't have any siblings either. She was an only child, just like me. Are you certain? Dr. Reeves's expression was sympathetic. Because these results indicate that Sofia's biological father shares 50% of his DNA with Maria Valentino. That makes him her brother or her son. Maya's world tilted. Maria had a son? Before Isabella? Or a brother you didn't know about, Dr. Reeves said. Someone with the same parents as Maria. Someone who… No. Dominic's voice cut like a blade. Maria's parents died when she was 16. She was raised by her grandmother. There was no brother, no secret sibling. She would have told me. Would she? Dr. Reeves asked gently. If that sibling was connected to something dangerous? If revealing his existence put people at risk? Dominic turned away, his hands clenched into fists. Maya could see him processing, calculating, remembering. The Rossettis, he said finally. 4 years ago, before Maria died, she was acting strange, paranoid. She kept saying someone was watching her, that she'd seen someone from her past. I thought she was being hormonal because of the pregnancy. His voice turned bitter. I dismissed her fears, told her she was safe, and then she died. What if she wasn't being paranoid? Maya said. What if she really did see someone? Someone who looked like her, Dr. Reeves added. A brother, perhaps. Someone with a 50% genetic match. Ryan Mitchell, Maya whispered. Oh my God. Ryan Mitchell is Maria's brother? The pieces were falling into place with horrifying clarity. Ryan had approached Maya 3 years ago, right after Maria's death. He'd been charming, attentive, deliberate. And then the moment she'd gotten pregnant, he'd vanished. He used me, Maya said, her voice hollow. He got me pregnant on purpose. To create what? Another Isabella? A replacement? Not a replacement, Dominic said, his voice dangerous. An heir. If Ryan is Maria's brother, and Sofia is his daughter, then Sofia has Valentino blood. She's family. She has claim to the estate, the businesses, everything. But why? Maya's hands shook. Why would he do that? Dr. Reeves cleared his throat. There's more. The genetic testing revealed something else, something unusual about Sofia's DNA. He pulled out another report, this one more complex. Sofia has markers consistent with in vitro fertilization, specifically genetic selection. Maya's heart stopped. What? Someone didn't just conceive Sofia naturally. They designed her. Dr. Reeves's voice was clinical, but his eyes held sympathy. They selected specific genetic traits, eye color, facial structure, even that birthmark. They wanted her to look like someone. Isabella, Dominic breathed. Yes. Whoever created Sofia went to extraordinary lengths to make her physically resemble your daughter. Dr. Reeves looked at Maya. Miss Rodriguez, do you remember anything unusual about Sofia's conception? Any medical procedures? Maya's mind raced back 3 years. Ryan, he said he had a friend who was a fertility doctor. Said I should get a checkup, make sure everything was healthy before we tried for a baby. I went to this clinic, it was nice, professional. They did an exam, took blood samples. Her voice rose with growing horror. They said everything looked good. A week later, I found out I was pregnant. They implanted an embryo, Dominic said, his voice cold with fury. They created Sofia in a lab, designed her to look like Isabella, and implanted her in you without your knowledge or consent. That's illegal, Maya gasped. That's what the Rossettis do, Dominic interrupted. They play long games, strategic games. They created Sofia to look like my daughter, then waited. Waited for the right moment to reveal her existence. Waited for me to get attached. But why? Maya's voice broke. Why go to all this trouble? Because now they have leverage, Dominic said. Sofia is family. She has Valentino blood. And they can either use her to claim the estate through legal channels or, his expression darkened, or they can use her to destroy me emotionally. Make me care about her, then take her away. Make me lose another daughter. The cruelty of it was breathtaking. Maya looked at Dr. Reeves. Is Sofia healthy? The genetic modification, did it hurt her? Physically, she's perfectly healthy. The modifications were cosmetic, only appearance, not function. But Miss Rodriguez, he hesitated. You need to understand what this means. Sofia was created as a tool. Someone planned her existence down to the smallest detail. They chose you specifically because you had no family, no resources, no protection. You were the perfect vessel. Maya wanted to vomit, to scream, to grab Sofia and run until they disappeared. But Dominic's voice stopped her. None of that matters. Both Maya and Dr. Reeves turned to stare at him. It doesn't matter how Sofia was conceived or why. Dominic continued. It doesn't matter if the Rossettis engineered her existence or if this whole thing was a calculated move. She's here. She's alive. She's a little girl who loves rabbits and gets pneumonia and calls her stuffed animal Luna. His eyes met Maya's. And she's family. My family. The test results prove it. She has Valentino blood. That makes her my niece. That makes her my responsibility. That makes her mine to protect. She's my daughter, Maya said fiercely. Yes, she is. Dominic's expression softened. And I'm not trying to take her from you. But Maya, you need to accept reality. Sofia is connected to two worlds now, yours and mine, and the only way to keep her safe is to embrace both. What are you saying? Dominic took a breath. I'm saying marry me. The words landed like a bomb. Maya stared at him. What? Marry me. Legally. Make Sofia my daughter through adoption. Bind our families together so tightly that anyone who comes for her has to go through. Both of us. His voice was calm, logical, absolutely insane. It's the only way to give her legal protection and claim to the Valentino estate. It's the only way to make you untouchable. You're out of your mind. I'm being practical. Dominic moved closer. The Rossettis created Sofia to use against me. Fine. We turn their weapon into our shield. We make her legally mine, give her my name, my protection, my everything, and we give you the same. I don't want to marry you. Maya's voice rose. I don't even know you. You know I saved Sofia's life. You know I've kept you both safe. You know I care about her more than... He stopped, jaw working. More than I've cared about anything in 4 years. That's not love. That's obsession with a dead daughter's ghost. The accusation hung between them, brutal and true. Dominic's expression went carefully blank. You're right. I am obsessed. I do see Isabella when I look at Sofia, and maybe that makes me a terrible person, but it also makes me the most motivated protector she could possibly have, because I already failed one daughter. I won't fail another. She's not yours to fail, Maya said, but her voice wavered. Not yet, but she could be. Dominic's voice dropped. Marry me, Maya. Give Sofia every advantage my name provides. And in return, I'll give you and her a life where you never have to worry about money or safety or some ghost from your past showing up. Ryan, Maya said suddenly. He texted me. He wants to meet tomorrow. Alone. Dominic's entire demeanor changed. Show me. Maya pulled out her phone, hands shaking. Dominic read the text, his expression darkening with each word. This is a trap, he said flatly. Or it's him trying to protect Sofia from you. You can't actually believe... I don't know what to believe. Maya's control shattered. 24 hours ago, I was a waitress with a sick kid. Now you're telling me Sofia was genetically engineered? That her father is your dead wife's secret brother? That she was created as some kind of pawn in a mob war? Tears streamed down her face. How am I supposed to process that? How am I supposed to know who to trust? Dominic was quiet for a long moment. Then, go to the meeting. Maya blinked. What? Go meet Ryan. Hear what he has to say. Dominic's voice was controlled. But take Marcus with you, and wear a wire. Whatever Ryan tells you, I need to hear it. You're letting me go? I'm showing you I trust your judgment. You want answers, go get them. But Maya, his eyes locked with hers. When you hear what Ryan has to say, when you learn the truth about who he is and what he wants, I need you to make a choice. Him or me, his world or mine. And Sofia? Sofia stays here, safe, protected, guarded by people who won't let anything happen to her. His voice was absolute. I won't use her as bait or a bargaining chip. Whatever happens tomorrow, she's secure. Dr. Reeves cleared his throat. May I think Mr. Valentino's suggestion has merit. Meeting Ryan could provide answers you both need. Maya looked at the test results, at the proof that Sofia was connected to a world of danger and violence and calculated cruelty. She thought about the text message, about Ryan's warning, and she thought about Dominic's proposal, marriage to a man she barely knew, to protect a daughter who'd been designed like a weapon. Okay, she said. I'll meet him. But Dominic, after I hear what Ryan has to say... I make my own choices. About Sofia. About our future. About everything. Agreed. And you promise Sofia stays safe while I'm gone? On Isabella's grave, Dominic said. No harm comes to her. Ever. Maya nodded, even though every instinct screamed that she was making a terrible mistake. But maybe in this world, this dangerous, complicated world she'd stumbled into, there were no good choices. Only choices that kept her daughter alive. And right now, that was all that mattered. The coffee shop on Madison Street was the kind of place that tried too hard to be trendy. Exposed brick, Edison bulbs, baristas with handlebar mustaches. Maya sat in a corner booth at 11:55 a.m., her hands wrapped around a latte she hadn't touched. Marcus positioned at a table near the door, reading a newspaper like he belonged there. The wire taped to her ribs itched. She resisted the urge to scratch it, knowing Dominic was listening from a van 2 blocks away. Knowing every word spoken here would be recorded, analyzed, used. Ryan Mitchell walked through the door at exactly noon. He looked the same, devastatingly handsome in that calculated way. Sandy hair styled perfectly, blue eyes that had once made Maya's heart race. He wore expensive jeans and a leather jacket that probably cost more than her monthly rent used to. The confident smile was the same too, the one that had made her believe she was special 3 years ago, the one that had been a lie. Maya. He slid into the booth, across from her, his expression warm. You look good, better than good. That sweater is that cashmere? Valentino's taste is expensive. She didn't return the smile. You have 5 minutes. Talk. Ryan's smile faltered slightly. Right to business. I can respect that. He leaned back, studying her. How Sofia? Don't. Maya's voice was ice. Don't you dare ask about her like you're a concerned father. You left before she was born. You've been gone for 3 years. I left to keep her safe. From what? From them. From Dominic. From the whole Valentino empire. Ryan's voice dropped, urgent. Maya, I need you to understand everything I did. I did to protect her. You mean everything you did to create her? Maya watched his expression carefully. The fertility clinic. The genetic modification. Making her look like Isabella Valentino. Don't bother denying it, we have the test results. Ryan went still. He told you. He didn't have to. The DNA doesn't lie. Maya leaned forward. But what I want to know is why. Why me? Why Sofia? Why engineer a child to look like a dead little girl? For a long moment, Ryan said nothing. Then, because Isabella was my daughter too. The world stopped. Maya's brain refused to process the words. What? Maria Dominic's wife, she wasn't just my sister. She was my twin. Ryan's voice was hollow. We were separated at birth. Different families adopted us. I didn't even know she existed until 15 years ago when our biological mother tracked us both down before she died. He pulled out a photograph. Old, faded. 2 babies in a hospital nursery. Identical, except for the pink and blue blankets. Our birth parents were addicts. Couldn't care for 1 kid, let alone 2. So, they split us up. Maria got adopted by a nice Italian family. I got bounced through foster care until I aged out. Maya's head spun. If you were twins, if you knew Maria. I found her when we were 20. Showed up at her door with proof of who we were. She was engaged to Dominic by then. Part of a mob family I wanted nothing to do with. Ryan's laugh was bitter. But Maria, she was thrilled. Said she'd always felt like something was missing. We became close. Really close. Close enough that she had your child? Ryan's jaw tightened. It wasn't like that. Maria couldn't have kids, or so everyone thought. She and Dominic tried for 5 years with no luck. Then she got pregnant with Isabella, and everyone called it a miracle. But it wasn't Dominic's child. No, it was mine. Ryan met her eyes. Maria and I, we made a mistake. One night when Dominic was away on business and she was lonely and I was stupid. We both regretted it immediately. But then she found out she was pregnant. Maya's disgust must have shown on her face because Ryan held up his hands. I know how it sounds, but you have to understand Maria loved Dominic. Really loved him. She was terrified that finding out Isabella wasn't his biological daughter would destroy him, destroy their marriage. So she lied to him for 6 years? She protected him from a truth that would have broken his heart. Ryan's voice turned defensive. And I stayed away. I watched Isabella from a distance, sent money anonymously, never interfered. I let Dominic be her father because he was her father in every way that mattered. Maya processed this, her mind racing. But someone found out. The Rossettis. Antonio Rossetti figured it out 2 years before Maria died. Did a DNA test somehow, I still don't know how he got the sample. But once he knew Isabella wasn't Dominic's biological child, he saw an opportunity. Ryan's hands clenched. He approached me, said if I helped him, he'd make sure Isabella inherited everything when Dominic died. Said he'd give me a cut, and you agreed. No, I told him to go to hell. Ryan's voice rose, drawing glances from other patrons. He lowered it again. But Antonio doesn't take no for an action. Answer. He threatened Maria. Said he'd tell Dominic the truth about Isabella. Said he'd make sure everyone knew the Valentino heir was a bastard. So Maria died. Maria died because she was going to tell Dominic everything herself. She'd had enough of the lies, the blackmail. She called me the day of the accident, said she was going to confess that night when Dominic got home. Ryan's eyes were haunted. 2 hours later, her car went off the road. The police called it an accident. I knew better. Maya's chest tightened. The Rossettis killed her. And Isabella. They killed them to keep their leverage. As long as Dominic didn't know the truth, as long as he believed Isabella was his, they could use that information against him later. But if Maria confessed, Ryan spread his hands. The secret loses its power. Except Isabella died too. So the leverage died with her. Which is why they needed a replacement. Ryan's voice went cold. Antonio came to me 6 months after the funeral. Said he had a plan to get his hooks into Dominic permanently. He'd create a new heir, one that looked like Isabella, one that could claim Valentino blood, one that the family would accept. Maya's blood ran cold. Sofia. I refused at first. Told Antonio I wouldn't create a child just to use as a weapon. But then he showed me surveillance photos, Dominic falling apart, drinking himself unconscious, putting a gun in his mouth. Ryan's voice cracked. My niece was dead. My sister was dead. And the man who'd raised Isabella like his own was destroying himself with grief. So you decided to play God. I decided to give Dominic a reason to live. Ryan's passion was desperate now. I told Antonio I'd do it, but on my terms. I'd find the mother, handle the conception, make sure the child was mine. That way she'd have real Valentino blood through Maria. She'd be legitimate. You picked me because I was vulnerable, easy to manipulate. I picked you because you were kind, strong, the kind of mother Sofia would need. Ryan reached across the table, but Maya jerked her hand away. Everything I told you about myself was a lie, except one thing I did fall for you, Maya. Maybe not love, but something real. And when I saw Sofia after she was born, when I held her and saw Maria's eyes staring back at me, you ran. I ran because I couldn't do it. Couldn't hand her over to the Rossettis like some package. Couldn't let them use her. Ryan's voice was raw. So I disappeared. Hoped they'd lose interest. Hoped you'd stay off their radar. For 3 years it worked. But then my car died in front of Dominic's warehouse. Then you put her right in his hands. Ryan's expression was anguished. Maya, you have to understand, Dominic will never let her go now. He sees Isabella when he looks at Sofia. He'll convince himself she's his second chance. He'll lock her away in that fortress, raise her in a world of violence and blood. She'll never have a normal life. As opposed to what? Maya's voice was sharp. Life on the run with a father who abandoned her? Life in hiding from the mob family that created her? Life free from all of this. Ryan gestured wildly. I have money, enough to disappear all 3 of us. New identities, new country, somewhere the Valentinos and Rossettis can't reach. Sofia can grow up normal. You can have the life you deserve. The life I deserve? You mean the life where I find out my daughter was genetically engineered without my consent? Where her entire existence was part of some sick mob power play? Maya's control snapped. You don't get to offer me anything, Ryan. You used me. You violated me. You created Sofia like she was a science project. I created her with love. Ryan's voice broke. Ryan's voice broke. Whatever Antonio's intentions were, I made sure Sofia was mine. My daughter, Maria's granddaughter. Real Valentino blood, not some lab creation with no soul. She's family, Maya. My family. She's my family. Maya stood, her hands shaking. And I get to decide what's best for her. Not you, not Dominic. Me. Ryan stood too, desperation in his eyes. Then decide to leave with me. Tonight. I have a plane waiting. We can be in Mexico by morning, Europe by tomorrow night. Please, Maya. Don't let Dominic turn Sofia into another Isabella. Don't let her grow up thinking violence is normal. As opposed to growing up thinking her father abandoned her. Maya's voice was cold. At least Dominic's honest about what he is. At least he doesn't pretend to be something he's not. Dominic is a killer. Ryan's voice dropped to urgent whisper. He's got blood on his hands, dozens of people dead because of his orders. You think he won't corrupt Sofia? You think she'll stay innocent growing up in that house? I think. Maya stopped, choosing her words carefully. I think Dominic has been honest with me from the start. He told me he was dangerous. He told me about his world. He didn't lie about who he was or what he wanted. She met Ryan's eyes. You did. You lied about everything. To protect you. To protect yourself. Maya grabbed her purse. This conversation is over. Maya, wait. Ryan reached for her arm. But Marcus was suddenly there, his bulk between them. The lady said she's done, Marcus said quietly, his hand inside his jacket where Maya knew he kept a gun. Ryan's eyes flicked to Marcus, to the wire he must have spotted under Maya's sweater, to the realization that everything he'd said had been recorded. You're making a mistake, he said. Dominic will destroy you both. He destroys everything he touches. Maybe. Maya's voice was steady, but at least he'll do it honestly. She walked out of the coffee shop, Marcus at her back, leaving Ryan standing alone among the Edison bulbs and exposed brick. The van was parked exactly where Dominic said it would be. Black, unmarked, windows tinted. Maya climbed in the back to find Dominic, sitting with headphones around his neck, his expression unreadable. You heard everything, Maya said. It wasn't a question. Every word. Dominic's voice was carefully controlled. Isabella wasn't mine. The pain in those 4 words made Maya's chest ache. She was yours in every way that mattered. Was she? Dominic's mask cracked. 6 years I raised her. 6 years I read her bedtime stories and chased away nightmares and taught her to ride a bike. And she wasn't mine. Maria lied to me. Ryan lied to me. Everyone. They lied to protect you. Maya sat down across from him. Maria was going to tell you the truth. That's why the Rossettis killed her. Because your wife loved you enough to risk losing you. She should have told me sooner. Maybe. But then what? You would have done what exactly? Loved Isabella less? Rejected her? Maya's voice softened. You said yourself blood doesn't make family. Love does. You loved Isabella. You were her father. Dominic was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was raw. When I held her for the first time, when the nurse put her in my arms and she opened those dark eyes, I felt complete. Like everything I'd ever done. All the violence and blood and choices, it all made sense because it led to her. To that moment. And learning she wasn't biologically yours changes that how. It changes everything. Dominic's hands clenched. Because now I know the Rossettis have been playing me for years. They killed my wife and daughter to hide the truth. They created Sofia to replace what they took, and I. His voice broke. I fell for it. The moment I saw Sofia, I was hooked. Just like they wanted. Or maybe, Maya said quietly, you fell for her because she's a little girl who needed help. Because you're a better man than you think you are. Dominic looked at her, really looked at her, and something shifted in his expression. You're staying, aren't you? You heard Ryan's offer escape, freedom, normal life, and you're still choosing this. I'm choosing what's best for Sofia. Maya's voice was firm. And what's best is protection you can provide. The resources you have, the legal claim through Maria's bloodline that makes her untouchable. You're choosing me. I'm choosing survival. But even as Maya said it, she knew it was more complicated than that. She was choosing the man who'd saved Sofia's life, who'd been honest about his world, who looked at her daughter with desperate love instead of calculated manipulation. She was choosing Dominic. Then marry me, Dominic said. Not because you love me, not because it's romantic. Marry me because it makes Sofia legally mine. It gives her my name, my protection, my everything. It makes you untouchable too. Maya took a breath. If I do this, if I marry you, there are rules. Name them. First, Sofia never learns about the genetic modification until she's old enough to understand. As far as she knows, she's just our daughter. No labs, no experiments, no created to replace Isabella trauma. Agreed. Second, I get a say in how she's raised. Her education, her activities, her exposure to your world. She doesn't become a mob princess locked in a tower. Agreed. Third, Maya met his eyes. This is a business arrangement. You want a family. I need protection. But we don't pretend it's something it's not. No fairy tale, no love story. Just two people making the best of an impossible situation. Something flickered in Dominic's expression. Disappointment? Relief? Agreed. Then yes. Maya's voice didn't shake. I'll marry you. Dominic pulled a small velvet box from his jacket pocket. Inside was a ring platinum band with a diamond so large it looked fake. It wasn't. This was Maria's engagement ring, he said quietly. She'd want Sofia's mother to have it. Maya let him slide it onto her finger. The weight of it felt like a shackle and a shield all at once. We'll have the ceremony. Tomorrow, Dominic said. Small, private, legal. And then his phone buzzed, then buzzed again and again. Dominic's expression went from controlled to terrified in the span of a heartbeat. He answered on the first ring. What? Maya couldn't hear the voice on the other end, but she saw Dominic's face drain of color, saw his hands start to shake. When? His voice was barely a whisper. How many? A pause. Get her to the safe room. Lock it down. I'm 5 minutes out. He hung up, his eyes meeting Maya's. The Rossettis. They're at the estate. They have Sofia. The words didn't make sense. Couldn't make sense. What? Maya's voice came out strangled. No, you said you promised she'd be safe. You said they bypassed the security. Somehow they knew the codes, the schedules, everything. Dominic was already moving, barking orders to the driver. They took out 3 guards. Elena's barricaded in the safe room with Sofia, but we have maybe 10 minutes before they breach it. Oh God, no. Maya couldn't breathe. Her baby, her Sofia, in danger because Maya had left her, because she'd trusted Dominic's promises. The van screeched around corners, Marcus radioing ahead for backup. Dominic pulled a gun from under his seat, checked the clip with practiced efficiency. When we get there, he said, his voice deadly calm now, you stay in the van. You don't move until I give the all clear. Like hell I'm staying in the van. That's my daughter, and she needs you alive. Dominic grabbed Maya's shoulders. If you run in there and get killed, Sofia has no mother. You stay here, you stay safe, and you let me do what I do best. Which is? His smile was sharp and terrifying. End people who threaten my family. The estate came into view, smoke rising from one of the outer buildings. Security vehicles scattered across the lawn, the front gates hanging open like a broken mouth. Bodies on the ground. 2 of them guards Maya recognized. The third, Carlo Rossetti, Marcus said grimly. Looks like our boys put up a fight. Dominic was out of the van before it fully stopped. Marcus and 3 other men flanking him. Maya watched through the window as they approached the house with military precision, weapons drawn, movements coordinated. She should stay in the van, should follow Dominic's orders. But Sofia was in there, terrified, calling for her mother. Maya grabbed the door handle. A hand clamped down on her wrist. She turned to find another guard, young, apologetic, shaking his head. Boss's orders, ma'am. You stay here. That's my daughter in there. And the boss will get her out. But if you go in, you become a liability. A target. You distract him when he needs to focus. The guard's voice was kind but firm. Let him do his job. Maya wanted to scream, to fight, to claw her way into that house and tear apart anyone who'd touched Sofia. Instead, she pressed her face to the window and prayed to every god she didn't believe in. Inside the house, Dominic moved through rooms he knew by heart. The foyer where Isabella used to play. The hallway where Maria had hung family photos. The stairs he'd carried his daughter up every night for 6 years. All of it marked now by violence. Bullet holes in the walls, overturned furniture, blood on the marble floors. Safe room is basement level, Marcus whispered. 2 hostiles between us and the door. 3 more trying to breach it. How long until they get through? Elena reinforced it after Maria died. Could hold for hours. Could give in any second. Depends if they brought explosives. As if on cue, an explosion rocked the house. Dominic's ears rang, but he kept moving, following the sound to the basement door. Smoke poured up the stairs, and voices angry, frustrated. The door's reinforced steel. Blow the hinges. We did. It's not moving. Then bring the girl up another way. There's a ventilation shaft. Dominic stepped into the doorway, gun raised. Step away from that door. 5 men turned to face him. 5 men who'd broken into his home, threatened his family, put their hands on a little girl who looked like his dead daughter. 5 men who'd just made the last mistake of their lives. Valentino. Antonio Rossetti stepped forward, a gun in his hand but pointed down. Casual. Confident. We need to talk. There's nothing to talk about. Dominic's voice was ice. You're in my house. You touched my family. You're dead men. Your family? Antonio laughed. That little girl in there isn't your family. She's a laboratory creation. A tool Ryan and I designed to manipulate you. You really think she matters? She matters more than your life. Dominic's aim didn't waver. Last chance. Walk away. Leave Chicago. Never come back. And maybe I let you live. Or what? You'll kill us? Here? In your own home where the girl can hear? Antonio's smile was cruel. We both know you won't do that. You've gone soft. Dominic, you care too much. It's made you weak. Behind Dominic, Marcus and the guards took position. 5 against 5. Poor odds, but workable. Then Antonio pulled out his phone, showing the screen to Dominic. Surveillance footage. The coffee shop. Maya meeting Ryan. We've been watching her all day, Antonio said. Interesting conversation they had. About how Sofia was created. About Ryan being her real father. About Maria's lies. He tilted his head. Does Maya know you're not even Sofia's uncle? That the only connection between you and that little girl is your dead wife's betrayal? Sofia is mine. The words came out feral. She has Valentino blood through Maria. That makes her family. Sure, but does it make her worth dying for? Antonio raised his gun, pointing it at Dominic now. Because that's the choice. You and your men leave. Let us take Sofia. We'll raise her properly, teach her the family business. She'll have a good life. Or you fight, people die, and she watches her precious Dominic bleed out on these stairs. Which do you choose? For one heartbeat, Dominic considered it. Considered letting Sofia go to save her from witnessing violence. Considered that maybe Antonio was right, maybe caring this much was weakness. Then he heard it. Muffled through steel and smoke, but unmistakable. Sofia's voice. Mama? I want my mama. And Dominic remembered Isabella's voice saying the same thing. Mama, where's Mama? Over and over after Maria died. Every night for weeks until the grief exhausted her into silence. He'd failed Isabella. Failed to save her mother. Failed to protect her from the violence that eventually took her life. He wouldn't fail again. Wrong choice, Dominic said. Then he pulled the trigger. The gunshot echoed through the mansion like thunder. Antonio Rossetti dropped, clutching his shoulder, his weapon clattering down the basement stairs. His men moved simultaneously, raising weapons, diving for cover, returning fire that tore chunks from the marble walls and ornate molding. Dominic was already moving. Years of survival instinct took over. Roll left, fire twice, drop the man nearest the safe room door. Marcus took out another, his aim surgical and precise. The remaining 3 Rossetti soldiers scattered, using furniture and doorways for cover. Get that door open, Dominic shouted to Marcus, providing cover fire. Get Sofia and Elena out. But before Marcus could move, the front door exploded inward. Not the Rossettis, not backup. Ryan Mitchell stormed through with 4 men Dominic didn't recognize, expensive suits, military bearing, weapons that suggested they weren't playing at this game. Nobody moves. Ryan's voice cut through the chaos, his gun pointed at Antonio. This ends now. Everyone froze. Dominic, Marcus, the remaining Rossetti soldiers, Antonio bleeding on the floor. The house fell silent except for the ringing in everyone's ears and Sofia's muffled crying from behind the steel door. What Ryan does next will change everything. The truth about who he's working for will blow your mind. Ryan. Antonio's laugh was wet with pain. Come to save your investment? I came to end this. Ryan's expression was carved from stone. You killed my sister. You killed my niece. You've been using me for 4 years to play your sick games. No more. You think you can just walk away? Antonio struggled to sit up. You created that girl. You handed her to these people. You're as complicit as... Ryan shot him. Not to kill, the bullet tore through Antonio's other shoulder, slamming him back against the wall. Antonio's scream was animal and raw. That's for Maria, Ryan said quietly. And this? He fired again, the bullet destroying Antonio's kneecap. This is for Isabella. Dominic's gun stayed trained on Ryan, but his eyes were calculating. What are you doing? What I should have done 4 years ago. Ryan's voice was hollow. Ending the Rossettis. All. A tart of them. His men moved with practiced efficiency, disarming Antonio's soldiers, zip-tying their hands. One of them older, with silver hair and the bearing of military command, approached Dominic. Mr. Valentino, I'm Colonel Harrison, FBI Organized Crime Task Force. We've been running an operation on the Rossetti family for 18 months. Mr. Mitchell has been our informant. The words landed like grenades. Informant? Dominic's gun didn't lower. Ryan's been working for the feds? Since 6 months after Maria died. Ryan moved closer, his weapon now pointed at the floor. When I realized the Rossettis killed my sister, I went to the FBI, gave them everything: accounts, contacts, evidence of every crime Antonio committed. I've been gathering intel ever since, while creating Sofia as bait, while making sure Sofia existed to draw them out. Ryan's voice was raw. I knew Antonio would eventually come for her, knew he'd show his hand. He looked toward the safe room door. I didn't know I'd care about her so much. Didn't know loving her would make this so damn complicated. Dominic lowered his gun slowly. The meeting today. You were wearing a wire for them. I was wearing 2 wires. One for you, one for the FBI. Ryan's smile was bitter. You weren't the only one who needed to hear the truth. The Bureau needed Antonio's confession on tape. Needed him to admit to Maria's murder, to Sofia's creation, to everything. And you got it. Colonel Harrison held up a recording device. Every word. Enough to put Antonio away for life, along with a dozen other Rossetti family members we've been tracking. Outside, sirens wailed, real ones this time, not just in the distance. Federal vehicles poured through the broken gates, agents in FBI windbreakers spreading across the property. But Dominic's focus was singular: the safe room. Open it, now. Marcus was already at the door, entering the code. The steel barrier swung open with a hydraulic hiss. Elena stood inside, pale but fierce, a shotgun in her hands that she'd clearly been ready to use. And behind her, pressed into the corner, clutching Luna the rabbit, Sofia. She looked so small, so terrified. Her eyes were red from crying, her face streaked with tears. When she saw Dominic, something in her expression cracked. Dominic. She ran to him, and he caught her, lifting her against his chest. Her small arms locked around his neck with desperate strength. You're okay, he whispered into her hair. You're safe now. I've got you. They were so loud. The booms were so loud. Sofia's voice was muffled against his shoulder. Elena said bad men wanted to take me. I was so scared. I know, baby. I know. Dominic carried her up the stairs, away from the blood and the zip-tied prisoners, and the FBI agents swarming through his home. He didn't stop until they reached the library, the room where this had all started 2 days ago. 2 days. It felt like a lifetime. Maya burst through the door seconds later, having finally escaped her guard. She was across the room in an instant, her hands on Sofia, checking for injuries, tears streaming down her face. Oh God, baby, are you okay? Did they hurt you? Are you... Mama. Sofia reached for her mother, and Dominic transferred the girl into Maya's arms. They sank onto the couch together, Sofia clinging to Maya like she'd never let go. Dominic watched them, his chest tight with something he couldn't name. Relief, grief, love so fierce it physically hurt. Ryan appeared in the doorway, his expression tentative. Sofia. Don't. Dominic moved between Ryan and the couch, his body a wall. You don't get to see her. Not now. Maybe not ever. I'm her father. You're a sperm donor who played God. Dominic's voice was cold. You want credit for creating her? Fine. But that doesn't make you her father. That doesn't earn you the right to be in her life. Dominic, Maya's voice was quiet but firm. Let him see her. 5 minutes. She deserves to know who he is. Every instinct Dominic had screamed, no. But he looked at Maya's face, saw the resolve there, and stepped aside. Ryan approached slowly, kneeling beside the couch. Sofia watched him with those dark eyes, Maria's eyes that saw too much for a 3-year-old. Hi, Sofia, Ryan said softly. I'm Ryan. I'm a friend of your mama's. Are you one of the bad men? The question was innocent but devastating. No, sweetheart, Ryan's voice cracked. I'm one of the people who made sure you exist, who wanted you to be born, who loves you even though I haven't been there. Sofia studied him with a child's brutal honesty. You have mama's eyes. I do? Not mama's eyes, but the same color. Sofia tilted her head. Are you my daddy? The room went silent. Ryan looked at Maya, then at Dominic, then back at Sofia. I'm biologically, yes, but that doesn't... Then where have you been? Sofia's question was simple, crushing. Mamas and daddies are supposed to be together. That's what my friend Emma says. Her mama and daddy live in the same house and read stories together. Sometimes Ryan struggled for words. Sometimes adults make mistakes. Sometimes they have to be apart to keep people safe. Were you keeping me safe? I was trying to. Sofia considered this. Then, Dominic keeps me safe too. And he reads me stories. And he gave me Luna. She held up the rabbit. Does that make him my daddy too? The question hung in the air like a prayer. Dominic's throat closed. He couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. He looked at Maya and saw tears streaming down her face, saw her watching him with an expression he couldn't decipher. That's up to your mama, Ryan said finally. And up to Dominic. And up to you, when you're old enough to decide. I decide now. Sofia's voice was stubborn, so much like Maria it made Dominic's chest ache. I want Dominic to be my daddy. And Ryan can be my uncle. Because families are supposed to be together. From the mouths of babes. Ryan's laugh was broken but genuine. Uncle. I can live with Uncle. He stood, his eyes meeting Dominic's. Take care of them. Both of them. Be the father I couldn't be and the man I'll never manage. I will. And Dominic. Ryan paused at the door. For what it's worth, Maria would have loved this. Would have loved seeing you with another daughter. Would have loved seeing you choose family over revenge. Then he was gone, and Dominic was alone with Maya and Sofia, and the weight of everything that had just been decided by a 3-year-old girl who wanted a family. 3 months later, the spring sun turned the rose gardens into a riot of color. Maya stood at the window of what used to be the guest suite, and was now officially her bedroom, hers and Dominic's. Though they'd taken things slow, sleeping in the same bed but nothing more, building trust, building something real. The wedding had been small. A judge, Elena and Marcus as witnesses, Sofia in a flower girl dress that made her look like a princess. Legal and binding and exactly what they'd both needed: protection for Sofia, security for Maya, peace of mind for Dominic. But something had shifted in the months since. The business arrangement had started feeling less like business and more like family. Dominic spent his evenings with Sofia, now reading stories, playing tea party, teaching her to play chess with a patience Maya hadn't known he possessed. He'd cut back his more questionable business ventures, focusing on legitimate enterprises, telling Maya he wanted Sofia to inherit an empire she could be proud of, not one that would shame her. Maya had gone back to school, Dominic had insisted, paying her tuition, setting her up with tutors. You're too smart to waste your life waiting tables, he'd said. Sofia needs a mother who knows she can be anything. And slowly, carefully, Maya had found herself watching Dominic with something warmer than gratitude, something that felt dangerously close to love. A knock on the door interrupted her thoughts. Dominic entered, still wearing his suit from a business meeting, looking tired but content. She asleep? He asked. Out like a light. The zoo wore her out. Maya smiled. She made me promise we'd go back next week. Something about the penguins. The penguins. Dominic's expression softened. She told me tonight that penguins mate for life, then asked if we were going to mate for life like the penguins. Maya felt her cheeks heat. What did you tell her? I told her. He moved closer. I told her that I hoped so, that I'd like nothing more than to spend the rest of my life with her and her mother. If her mother wanted that too. Maya's heart hammered. Dominic, I love you. The words came out raw, honest. I know that wasn't part of the deal. I know we said business arrangement, protection, convenience. But Maya, I love you. I love the way you fight for Sofia. I love the way you challenge me. I love that you're strong enough to survive my world and gentle enough to make it bearable. Dominic, I loved Maria. I'll always love Maria. She was my first love, my wife, the mother of... He stopped, corrected himself. The mother of the girl I raised as my daughter. But you're my second chance. My possibility of happiness after grief. And if you don't feel the same way, if this is still just an arrangement for you, I'll accept that. But I needed you to know. Maya crossed the room and kissed him. It was their first real kiss, not the chaste peck at the wedding, not the careful goodnight brushes. This was need and want, and 3 months of tension finally breaking. When they pulled apart, both breathing hard, Maya whispered, I love you too. I've been terrified to admit it. Terrified it was just gratitude or security or Stockholm Syndrome or it's love. Dominic's hands cupped her face. I feel it every time you walk into a room. Every time Sofia calls me daddy and you smile like it's the most natural thing in the world. Every time you fall asleep on the couch during movie night and I get to carry you to bed. You carry me to bed? Every time. His smile was soft. You never wake up. Just curl into me like you trust me completely. His voice roughened. It's the most precious thing anyone's ever given me. Maya kissed him again, deeper this time, and felt his arms come around her. Felt the careful control he always maintained start to crack. Maya, his voice was strained. If we do this, if we cross this line, we're already crossed every line that matters. Maya pulled back enough to meet his eyes. We're married. We're raising Sofia together. We're building a life. She gestured between them. This is just the last piece falling into place. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything. What happened next was tender and desperate, and everything Maya had been afraid to hope for. They made love like people who'd been waiting their whole lives for this for each other. For this moment. For the promise of a future that didn't involve survival or strategy, but just love. Afterward, lying tangled together in sheets that cost more than Maya's old car, Dominic whispered, "Thank you. For what? For running into that warehouse. For begging me to save Sofia. For being brave enough to stay when any sane person would have run." He pressed his lips to her forehead. "For giving me a reason to be better than I was. You were always better than you thought." Maya traced patterns on his chest. "You just needed someone to see it. Isabella used to say that I was secretly nice." Dominic's voice was distant with memory. She'd tell people her daddy was the nicest man in the world. Maria would laugh, say Isabella didn't understand what I really did. But Isabella would insist daddy saves people. That makes him nice. She wasn't wrong. Maya propped herself up on one elbow. "You saved Sofia. You saved me. You saved yourself from a life of isolation and grief. That's not nothing, Dominic." "I failed, Isabella. You loved Isabella. That's not failure. That's being human." Maya's voice was firm. "And you're honoring her memory by being the father Sofia needs, by being the husband I need, by choosing to live instead of just survive." Dominic pulled her close, and they lay there in comfortable silence until sleep claimed them both. 6 months after that, the adoption papers were finalized. Sofia Rodriguez officially became Sofia Valentino Dominic's daughter in every legal and meaningful way. Ryan had signed away his parental rights without protest, agreeing to the uncle role Sofia had assigned him, visiting once a month under supervision, content to watch from a distance as his biological daughter thrived. The Rosettas had been dismantled. Antonio was serving life in federal prison. His organization had splintered, absorbed by other families or gone legitimate. The threat that had loomed over Sofia's existence had evaporated like morning mist. Dr. Reeves had recommended a child psychologist to help Sofia process the trauma of that day, the explosions, the fear, the knowledge that bad men had tried to take her. But with therapy and time and the unwavering love of her parents, Sofia had healed. She was 4 now, vibrant and joyful, and full of opinions about everything from what Luna the rabbit should wear. "Rabbits need accessories, Daddy," to whether penguins or dolphins were better. Penguins, obviously, because they wear tuxedos. Maya had graduated from her nursing program and now worked part-time at a children's clinic. Dominic had helped fund giving back to the community, helping families like she used to be. She came home tired but fulfilled, to a house that felt like a home, to a daughter who ran, to greet her, to a husband who kissed her like she was the most precious thing in his world. Because she was. They'd moved Isabella's room, not gotten rid of it, never that, but transformed it. The pink walls were now yellow. The princess bed was still there, but next to it was Sofia's bed from her old room. The photographs of Isabella were joined by photographs of Sofia. 2 daughters, separated by years and tragedy, united in memory and love. "Is this okay?" Maya had asked Dominic when they'd finished the transformation. "Sharing the room with Isabella's things?" "It's perfect." Dominic had stood in the doorway, looking at the space where his past and present merged. Isabella would have loved Sofia, would have wanted to share her room, her toys, her daddy. He gestured at the room. This is what family looks like. Past and present, grief and joy, all mixed together. Now, on a perfect spring evening, Maya stood in that room watching Sofia play dress-up with clothes that had belonged to Isabella. The little girl paraded in front of the mirror wearing a princess costume too big for her. Luna the rabbit clutched under one arm. "Mama, do I look like a real princess?" "You look beautiful, sweetheart. Daddy says I'm always a princess, but I think princesses need crowns." Sofia adjusted the plastic tiara on her head. "And castles. We live in a castle, right? Something like that." And Prince Daddy. Sofia giggled at her own joke. Except Daddy's not a prince. He's a king. King Daddy. Dominic appeared in the doorway, having heard the conversation. King Daddy? That's a promotion. Kings are the bosses of everything, Sofia explained seriously. Emma told me. Her daddy is a teacher, but you're a king, so that means you're more important. I don't know about that. You're the most important daddy in the whole world. Sofia ran to him, and he lifted her easily. Because you chose me. Mama said you chose me even though you didn't have to. Dominic's eyes met Maya's over Sofia's head. I didn't choose you, princess. You chose me. Remember? That day in the library when you said you wanted me to be your daddy? Oh yeah, Sofia brightened. I'm very smart about picking daddies. Yes, you are. Dominic kissed her forehead. Now, very smart, princess. It's bedtime. Say goodnight to Mama. But I'm not tired. Sofia. Maya used her mom voice. Bedtime. Can Daddy read me a story? If he wants to. I always want to. Dominic carried Sofia to her bed, the one next to Isabella's old bed, and tucked her in with Luna. Which story tonight? The one about the girl who's nice to everyone and gets everything she wishes for. That's every fairy tale. Then all of them. Sofia giggled as Dominic tickled her gently. He read 3 stories before Sofia's eyes finally drooped. As she drifted off, she mumbled, Love you, King Daddy. Love you too, Princess Sofia. In the hallway, Maya wrapped her arms around Dominic's waist. You're good at this. Being a father. I had practice. But his voice held less pain now when he spoke of Isabella. The grief was still there, would always be there, but it no longer defined him. And I have a good partner. Team Valentino. Team Valentino. Dominic kissed her softly. How did the clinic go today? Good. Exhausting. We had a mother come in with a sick baby, reminded me of that night. The night my car died and I ended up at your warehouse. Maya shook her head. If my Honda hadn't broken down in exactly that spot, then you would have gone home and the Rossettis would have been waiting. Dominic's arms tightened around her. I think about that sometimes. How close I came to never meeting you. Never meeting Sofia. How one broken car changed everything. Or maybe it was meant to happen. Maya looked up at him. Maybe Maria was watching out for Sofia. Sent me to the one person who could protect her. You believe in that? Fate? Divine intervention? I believe. Maya chose her words carefully. I believe that out of terrible things, beautiful things can grow. The Rossettis wanted to create Sofia as a weapon. Instead, they gave us a daughter. They wanted to destroy you with grief. Instead, they gave you a reason to heal. They gave me you. We gave each other a second chance. Maya kissed him. That's the real miracle. They stood in the hallway outside Sofia's room, the room that honored the past while celebrating the present, and held each other as night fell over the estate. Downstairs, Elena was humming in the kitchen, preparing tomorrow's breakfast. Marcus was checking security feeds out of habit more than necessity. The house that had once been a fortress of grief had transformed into a home filled with love. And in her bed, Sofia Valentino slept peacefully, clutching a rabbit named Luna, dreaming of penguins and princesses, and a family that had chosen her as fiercely as she'd chosen them. Epilogue, MISF. 5 years later, Sofia stood in front of the mirror, adjusting her flower girl dress for the 3rd time. At 9 years old, she was all long limbs and serious expressions, her dark eyes, Maria's eyes, studying her reflection critically. It's crooked, she declared. It's perfect, Maya said from the doorway, now 31 and more confident than the terrified woman who'd begged a stranger for help 9 years ago. She wore a simple blue dress, her hair swept up, Maria's ring now truly hers glinting on her finger. But the bow, Sofia, you look beautiful. Uncle Ryan and his fiancée are going to love it. Ryan's wedding was happening in an hour, a small ceremony at the Botanical Gardens. He'd met Jennifer 2 years ago, a kindergarten teacher with no connections to organized crime, who'd fallen for the reformed federal informant with haunted eyes. They were building a simple, quiet life together. And Ryan had asked Sofia to be his flower girl. Do you think Daddy's mad? Sofia asked suddenly. That I'm in Uncle Ryan's wedding? Why would he be mad? Because Uncle Ryan used to be bad, and made me in a lab instead of the normal way. Sofia's matter-of-fact tone about her own creation would have been alarming if they hadn't spent years in therapy helping her understand her unique origin story. Emma says that's weird. Emma says a lot of things. Maya knelt beside her daughter. And no, Daddy's not mad. He's proud of you for being kind to Uncle Ryan. for understanding that people make mistakes but can change. Like how Daddy used to be scary but now he's just bossy? Maya bit back a laugh. Something like that. And how you used to be poor but now we have like 1,000,000 bedrooms? We have 7 bedrooms. That's not 1,000,000. It feels like 1,000,000. Sofia spun in her dress, the skirt flaring. When I grow up, I'm going to have a small house, with only 3 bedrooms, and a penguin. You can't have a penguin as a pet. We'll see. About that. Dominic appeared in the doorway, looking uncomfortable in a suit despite wearing them every day. Ready to go, princess? Do I look okay, King Daddy? Sofia used the childhood nickname that had somehow stuck. You look perfect. Dominic's voice was soft. But you always do. In the car, a normal sedan now, not the armored SUV they'd once needed. Sofia chattered about penguins and flower petals and whether rabbits could attend weddings. Dominic drove while Maya sat beside him, their hands linked across the console. At the botanical gardens, Ryan waited nervously at the altar. When he saw Sofia, his entire expression softened. Thank you for this, he said to Dominic quietly. For letting her be part of my life. She's not mine to let or not let. Dominic's voice was even. She made the choice. We just support it. The ceremony was beautiful. Sofia took her role seriously, walking down the aisle with perfect posture, scattering rose petals with focused precision. When she reached the altar, she whispered loudly enough for everyone to hear, Uncle Ryan, your tie is crooked. The crowd laughed. Ryan straightened his tie with shaking hands and mouthed, Thank you. At the reception, Sofia danced with Dominic first standing on his feet, like she had when she was 4, now tall enough to reach his waist. You're getting too big for this, he told her. I'll never be too big to dance with my daddy. Then Ryan cut in, nervous but hopeful. May I? Dominic hesitated, then nodded. Sofia took Ryan's hand, and they swayed awkwardly to the music. I'm glad you found someone nice, Sofia told him. Jennifer seems really kind. She reminds me of Mama. High praise. Do you ever feel sad? Sofia asked with a child's brutal honesty. That you're not my daddy? That you're just my uncle? Ryan was quiet for a moment. Sometimes. But then I remember I got to help create you. I got to make sure you existed, and I get to watch you grow, up into this amazing person. That's more than a lot of biological fathers get. That's true. Sofia nodded sagely. And you get to be the uncle who sends really good birthday presents. That's an important job. I'll remember that. When the song ended, Sofia returned to Maya and Dominic. The 3 of them sat at their table, watching Ryan and Jennifer's first dance, and Maya felt Dominic's hand find hers under the table. Happy? He asked. Deliriously. Maya leaned her head on his shoulder. Who would have thought? That rainy night, my dying car, begging a stranger, led to this. Dominic gestured at Sofia, now dancing with Elena, at the life they'd built, at the family they'd become, led to everything. No regrets? Not a single one. He kissed her temple. Well, maybe one. I wish I could thank whoever engineered that Honda's timing belt to fail at exactly the right moment. Maya laughed. That was divine intervention. Or Maria, watching out for Sofia, sending you to me. Dominic's voice was thoughtful. Either way, I'm grateful. Sofia ran back to their table, breathless and happy. Can we get penguins for the garden? Ryan said he'd help me build an enclosure. Absolutely not. But Daddy, Sofia, no penguins. What about a small penguin? No penguins of any size. You're so mean. But Sofia was grinning, climbing into Dominic's lap despite being too big for it. Fine. Can we at least go to the zoo next week? We go to the zoo every week. Because penguins. Sofia settled against his chest, her head tucked under his chin. You know, I don't remember much about before. Before you and Mama got married. Before we lived in the castle. That's okay. Those memories aren't important. But I remember one thing really clear. Sofia looked up at him. I remember you carrying me through fire. Elena said that's not possible that you carried Mama and me in a car. Not through fire. But I remember flames and you holding me and saying angels shouldn't hurt. Dominic's breath caught. That night at the warehouse. The first time he'd held her. I'm not sure what you remember, Princess. But I'm glad you felt safe. I always feel safe with you. Sofia yawned. Even when you're being bossy about penguins. As the sun set and the reception wound down, the Valentino family headed home. Sofia fell asleep in the back seat, clutching Luna worn and loved after 9 years. Dominic carried her inside, up the stairs to her room where Isabella's picture still hung beside Sofia's more recent photographs. 2 daughters, one lost, one found, both loved completely. Maya tucked Sofia in, kissing her forehead. "Sweet dreams, baby. Love you, Mama. Love you, Daddy." Sofia's words were sleepy but certain. "Love you too, Princess." In their own room, Dominic and Maya prepared for bed with the comfortable routine of a couple who'd been together for years. When they finally settled under the covers, Dominic pulled Maya close. "Thank you," he said. "You say that a lot. I have a lot to be thankful for." His hand traced patterns on her shoulder. "A second chance. A daughter who chose me. A wife who saw past what I was to what I could be. You gave me the same." Maya kissed him softly. "We saved each other. We saved each other." Outside, the moon rose over the estate that was no longer a fortress but a home. Security guards still patrolled Old Habits Die Hard, but the gates stood open more than closed now. The rose gardens bloomed. The library welcomed Sofia's friends for study sessions. The kitchen smelled of Elena's cooking more than expensive takeout. And in the master bedroom, Dominic Valentino, former mob boss, grieving father, broken man, held the woman who'd begged him to save her baby, and found himself saved instead. "Maya?" he whispered. If your car hadn't died that night, if you'd driven past my warehouse, do you think we would have found each other eventually? Some other way?" Maya was quiet for a moment, thinking about fate and chance, and the mysterious ways life unfolded. "I think," she said finally, "some people are meant to find each other. Maybe not that night, maybe not that way, but somehow, eventually. You believe in soulmates? I believe in second chances, and third chances, and as many chances as it takes to get it right." She pressed closer to him. "And I believe that out of terrible things, genetic manipulation and mob wars and grief, beautiful things can grow. Like Sofia. Like us. Like this family we've built from ashes." "The fire's out," Dominic said, echoing words he'd once spoken to a different enemy in a different time. "The fire's out," Maya agreed. "And from the ashes, we grew something everlasting." They fell asleep, tangled together. While down the hall, their daughter dreamed of penguins and princesses, and a love that had started with a desperate plea in the rain, and grown into something that would last forever. Because some families are born, and some families are chosen, and some families, the rarest, most precious kind, are forged in fire and built from mercy. The Valentino family was all three, and they lived, if not happily ever after, then happily enough, which, in the end, was more than enough. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you loved this story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.